The story begins with a little girl apologizing to our protagonist Renya for dragging him into her mess. She then wishes him good fortune for his next life. Our MC enters the portal and is immediately teleported into a forest. He observes that the new world looks a lot like his previous world apart from the bright sky and a dense forest. After pondering about the safety of the world, he starts checking his inventory and finds out that he has a wooden practice sword, Shinai. He then checks for more information and finds out that this is a level 10 artifact, which is a lost artifact, and the quality of such artifacts cannot be replicated by humans. He also finds a message from the little girl, God, saying she intended to give him a sword where all attributes were of level 10 but was stopped by her angels, so she decided to give him the Shinai because of his experience with Kendo in his previous life. Renya equips the Shinai and starts thinking of finding someone to get the directions because the damned god dropped him in the middle of nowhere. He then drops a stick to decides to go in the direction it points, and the movement he drops the stick, he heard a cry for help and decides to check it out. After reaching the location, he finds two girls being surrounded by some dangerous-looking men who are laughing at them menacingly. The two girls, Rona Chevalier, a priestess, and Shun Femme Fatale, swordswomen, warn the thugs from coming any closer while thugs taunt them to play with them. Renya casually starts walking towards the group and calls out to the men, asking them if they don't feel ashamed of bullying two ladies. After looking at a questionable look from one of the thugs, he starts thinking if he can't understand the language of this world. Both the girls and the men are confused by his sudden arrival, and one man gets furious, asking him what he wants and why he is there. The swordswomen try to warn our MC by stating that these men are soldiers from the mercenary kingdom, so he will not be able to beat them, and asks him to forget about saving them and just run for his safety. The scary thug starts menacingly coming towards them and asks him to just run if he knows what is good for him. Renya taunts the man by saying he will not be able to call himself a man if he just leaves the girls in this situation. The thugs start laughing at our MC for trying to play hero with a stick in his hand. Renya gets furious after listening to this and asks the thug to repeat what he just said. The thug gets confused, and when he tries repeating what he just said, Renya starts moving angrily towards him and says he will let the thug grab it, but in exchange, he will ensure he beats him up thoroughly. The thugs laugh it off and try grabbing the Shinai, and he is then assaulted by the Shinai on his throat and collapses on the ground. The thugs and the girls are surprised by this, and then another thug tries attacking the MC. Renya makes quick work of him and explains to the thugs that the stick they are mocking is a sword. The other thugs try ganging up on our MC but are in turn beaten up by him as soon as they enter his range. Both the girls look at this and are dumbfounded by the strength of our hero and his sword. The two then thank him for saving them from their attackers. When our MC asks why these thugs were unarmed, Shun explains to him that these soldiers specialize in grappling techniques. The two girls think our MC is a lost people who are mysteriously teleported into this world, and our MC immediately agrees to be one. The girls show their surprise at seeing a lost person for the first time and start introducing themselves. The girl in the priestess robe introduces herself as Rona, a monk apprentice, and the swordswoman introduces herself as Shun Femme Fatale, a swordsman apprentice. Renya introduces himself as Kanugi Renya and asks them to call him Renya. The two girls are a bit surprised by his strange name but then decide to ignore it and start moving out. On the way, Rona explains to Renya how dangerous the forest is and how the unconscious men are going to become the monster's prey. She also explains to him about the different nations that exist in this world. Rona asks Renya how long has it been since Renya came to this world, to which Renya responds saying he just arrived. Rona and Shun are surprised to find that he is not confused with the new world. In the conversation, Renya calls Rona as Ro, for which she starts teasing him, saying that something people close to her call her by that name. Renya immediately corrects himself and calls her Rona-san, for which Rona gives him a teasing smile. The conversation shifts to the two girls explaining Renya that they are adventurers and they had taken a subjugation request to get rid of a goblin settlement that was harassing a developing village. Renya gets confused after listening to a new word and checks it on the helpful skill that the god had granted him and finds more in detail about them. The two girls discuss that it will become hard for them to get another job if they abandon their quest, for which Renya informs them that he can join them to help in the subjugation. Shen asks him the reason, for which he responds that it's because he wanted to help them for providing the information about the new world. Shen is still hesitant, but after Rona tells her how strong and good Renya is, she accepts and they start moving towards the destination.